Well, Gregory Anne, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm really excited to meet you, and I'm so excited with what you're going to share with us today. Before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about what you do?
I would love to, and thank you first of all for having me, Henriette. It's so nice to be here. I love meeting all these global community of people that are brought together by podcasting. What I do is two things, but what we're focused on today really mostly is business. I mean, it's health and then business, the health of a business based on the same things that I think help a human be healthy, we can apply in our business. I have been in business as an entrepreneur for about 23 or 4 years, but the first 10 of those, I was still a chef. I was a professional chef for many years. And then I started my own business, catering and private chefing. And one day I couldn't cook anymore. I just thought, I can't do this. What else am I going to do? And I found a life coaching. With great reticence and hesitation and skepticism, I thought, okay, I'll take a course and see what it's like. I ended up getting certified. And then I got into health coaching because I had a health nutrition background. It just sort of evolved, when you really, truly, they say, follow your passion and it all falls into place. It really kind of did. And of course, I had to learn how to be in business as an entrepreneur with an online business, and a coaching business was very, very different than food. I can wrangle food. It's harder to wrangle systems and clients. So I just kept with it, and I developed a side business because I love marketing and writing. I do copywriting for coaches on my other business. So it's just an evolution. I know that you work with clients and you teach them how to grow a business or start a business and grow a business. You never know everything in the beginning. You don't know what you don't know. And that's the same for people with their health. A lot of people come to this idea of, I want to stay healthy and age well, maybe at the midpoint in their lives, 40, 50, things really start changing. It's just like everything else. We have to start where we are, learn what we need to know, explore, try things, and keep what works and throw away what doesn't.
Yeah, and I love your story. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were a chef before. I mean, that is so interesting. But I also suspect that, the things that you learned as a chef in those kind of industries, you learn certain skills and strengths as well. And then you starting as a health coach, you kind of developed that even further, and you took that on, helping you on this new path, on this new journey as well. Is that right? Or do you feel that there's a big contrast between the two things that you're doing?
No, I feel like they are totally aligned. And somebody had to point that out to me when I felt like I didn't have any credentials for the coaching side. I realized I ran kitchens with staffs of 30 or more, or even when it was a smaller staff, we did huge productions of events. Those are the same kind. It's a matter of managing your time, managing resources, watching the bottom line, knowing who to put in what position, because I don't have a big team, but I have a full-time VA. She's been with me for years, and I hire other people for this other business. So yes, they're totally aligned. And when I was joking about I can wrangle food, but it's harder to wrangle people, food can be unruly too at times. If you order something and you think you're getting one thing, and surprise, it's not exactly the same, you have to think on your feet. And that was a matter of sticking with it, learning ways, different techniques, same thing with business.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Now, the one thing you're going to talk to us a little bit is health in particular, but also health in our business. And I always say to people, there's one thing that nobody teaches us when we decide to become entrepreneurs or business owners. And that is that when we sign up for a business, we actually sign up for a lot of self-development. Oh. And it's actually once we go through that self-development that we can then implement it into our business and grow. But I think equally, it's not just the self-development, it's also learning how to look after ourselves, mental health and physical health, well-being. All of that we need to kind of explore and we need to go into, because only then can we be successful in our businesses. If we don't just take the self-development and the health in both factors and develop that, our businesses might not succeed either way. So you've got this, the 5-step principle, or what do I call it? The power of five. There we go. Sorry, I had to remember what you said it was. So the power of 5. So tell us a little bit about the power of 5 and what is your kind of idea and concept behind it?
Okay. So I'm not a numerologist. There's no woo behind the idea of 5, although I do woo. I like woo. It just, when I looked at the things that I worked with people and myself on over and over again, it all really boiled down to 5 things. And I thought, we have 5 fingers on each hand and 5 senses. What is it about 5? Well, it's an easy number. It's not a big number. And then we can kind of just use our fingers and say, and use our senses too. That's what I always ask people, how do you want to feel? And our senses are what allow us to feel into the thing that we're hoping to experience in the way we want to experience it, right? So the power of 5, I'm going to give you the health version, and later we can talk about how I can turn it into business things as well. And as I told you before we got on the recording, this is, imagine a wheel, right? As opposed to linear steps. Every piece of the power of 5 supports the other piece. If you leave one out, because you just can't get to it, or you're just thinking, no, I don't know how to do that, I don't want to do that, you can still be okay. You can still be healthy. But to be optimally healthy and vibrant every day, age in good health, be ready for your business every day, you have to take on these 5 things. And they're super simple. There's nothing new under the sun. So everybody will have heard these things before. But I think I have a little bit of a different spin on some of them. So let's start with the first one, which is protein. Eat lean protein at every meal and snack. Well, but Greg, I only eat 3 meals a day. Okay, so have it at every meal. If you do snack, rather than having, let's just say crackers, pretzels used to be one of my favorite go-tos, have that plus a little almond butter or peanut butter, anything that will add a protein, a little fat to the protein. And those guys are kind of entwined. If you think about how food is, how we find food, salmon, for instance, meat, has both protein and fat combined. Sometimes we eat something that's man-made. We have to sort of do a little chemistry thing, right? To make them the perfect way that the food would come in nature. So why protein? Because protein helps us maintain muscle and stay healthy. Basically, it's a building block for every system in the body.
Yeah.
Now, I talked about fat, and I'm going to say fall in love with fat. There are these, there are lots of conflicting ideas in the world of food. I get it. And, there's the super low fat, super high fat. I'm not going to any extreme. And I have to say there's a caveat. Not every physical body, runs well on the same diet. So I'm going to say fall in love with fat. If you like and do well on a higher fat diet, that's great. And it might take some experimentation to know that. Some people are sugar burners. They run better on a higher carbohydrate diet. Some people are fat burners. I find that people who can be okay with fat, not fear the fat, like only eat an egg white, they tend to have an easier time with their weight. Not true for everybody, but that's, I would say, about 80% of the people I work with. So you want to fall in love with fat. An example, eat the whole egg. As I said, the egg yolk, the fat in that egg and in other forms of healthy fat is good for our skin looks better when we have an ample amount of fat. We have less cravings because of the next step that I'm going to get to. And our sex hormones thrive on fat. So people, if you're feeling a little bit lackluster, get yourself an egg or a piece of cheese.
There's a top tip right here.
There you go. Okay, so in and amongst that conversation about food is to balance your blood sugar throughout the day. Now, this may sound like too much science, too much chemistry. It's super simple. When we eat, our blood sugar goes up. Depending on the individual, certain foods will raise the blood sugar more than others. For most people, fat does not raise your blood sugar. There's nothing in there, right? That's why I'm such a key proponent of fat and lean proteins, which also don't raise your blood sugar much. They do. When we have, if we eat well, and we don't eat foods that spike our blood sugar, like everybody knows, white carbs and sugary treats and soda, that kind of thing. Even diet soda can raise your blood sugar. So can exercise. So it's not like it's all bad. Our blood sugar goes up, but it should come down in a reasonable amount of time. Excuse me. When it doesn't, this is when we get cravings. And more importantly, we could get insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance has of late been proven by lots of docs. I have lots of books over here that I could show you that talk about this. Insulin resistance is one of the culprits in inflammation related problems in our body as we get older. So you might have a normal blood sugar, but have high insulin running around in your body because you're insulin resistant. You've taught your body to produce more insulin than it has a way to be used. So I have a remedy for that. If anybody wants to ask their doctor, if they're feeling like they're out of whack and they have cravings, ask them to test for fasting serum insulin. Every time you get a blood test every year, if you go get your blood work done, which I encourage people to do, chances are they will test your blood sugar in the form of something called an A1C. They want to see that your blood sugar is not, that you're not heading into a pre-diabetic state. If you are diabetic, you still might want to get your insulin tested. And I don't want to make this too sciencey. Just keep in mind that everything we're talking about helps balance blood sugar, including number 4, which is sleep. Sleep and rest. As we age, it gets harder to fall asleep for some, stay asleep for others, and sometimes both. It's just a thing. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's like so many other things. We have to adapt and change. We have to be willing to try new things. And in the Power of 5 little email program that I will send anybody who's interested, there are lots and lots and lots of tips to try. We have to have a dark room. That sounds logical, but if there's a little light creeping in, some people as we get older, we get more sensitive to the light. A room should be cool, 65 degrees or less. Some people have a partner or a spouse that likes the room warmer. It may not work for us women. Our thermostats get a little bit dodgy as we get older. Maybe we have a dog that wants to sleep on one side, or 2 cats. We have to be willing to just say, but my sleep is more important than you, puppy dog. And that's hard. I know, I'm a fur baby person, but sleep is key. And one of the things that we should keep in mind too, one of the problems with sleep is that we chase our melatonin away. You probably all heard about melatonin is a sleep hormone. It's also a wake hormone, but we're talking about sleep right now. If you get up to pee in the night, don't turn your lights on. Carry a little flashlight with you, especially a flashlight with red light is less disruptive to melatonin. So again, lots and lots of tips in the Power of 5 program. So the last one, and this will be no surprise to anybody, don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger. You got to move. You have to move something every day. I know every day sounds crazy because most people think I have to go exercise. I am part of a movement to help people understand that exercise is like a thing we do. That's not normal, because once it's done, we think we're done, and then we go back to sitting all day. Movement and natural movement is different. We talked about earlier, getting up from your desk for a 5-minute walk around the house, go up and down the stairs. When I brush my teeth, I stand on one foot. That's not only helping my balance, but it's also movement because my core body has to try and stabilize. I know it's a little wacky around here, but I'm doing everything I can to age well. And so there's a debate about, do we need to get our heart rate up to sweating or not? Because some people don't feel good at that point of exercise exertion, maybe because their joints can't take it, or that's not their personality. I would say, don't worry about whether you're sweating. If you're not doing anything, start doing something. If you can walk to slightly breathy, not breathless, but breathy, that's going to do your body a world of good. Something every day, even on the Sunday, even on your day off. And even if that means I have an exercise ball, sometimes I just sit on the ball and bounce. Sometimes I sit on it at my desk and I sort of rock back and forth. It's proven that fidgeting counts for movement for people. So keep those things in mind. So we've got lean protein at every meal and snack, fall in love with fat, find a way to sleep and rest, move it, and balance your blood sugar.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I am so intrigued with what you just said. And I made my will. I'm just scribbling all the notes as you mentioned it. Because, I do think it's very important, but these are things that we don't think about. We are just so in the habit of getting on with our daily lives, especially as business owners. Oh my gosh, we are the biggest culprits. We are so used to our daily habits of just getting things done that we don't really think about our health. And, when you started talking about, lean protein, immediately I was thinking, what do I eat that is lean protein? I was going through everything in my fridge. And then you started talking about falling in love with fat. I'm not going to say I'm a huge fan of fat, but I do believe in healthy fats. I mean, I only use olive oil as a silly example, and I love eggs. Oh my goodness, that tip on the eggs. I think we're all going to use it. Balance the blood sugar. Yes, I do sometimes get cravings, but then I don't go and eat sugary stuff. Now, I'm just using myself here as an example because I can't talk for everybody else listening to that. So, obviously everybody would kind of get their own examples here. Sleep, Yes. Oh my gosh, my room has got to be dark. And exactly like you say, if you get up at night, I don't put the lights on. I'm so glad I don't do that because first of all, it will wake everybody else up. But
Well,
then
yeah.
second of all, I feel that I do tend to struggle to go back to sleep if I do put the
Mm.
lights on in the middle of the night. So it makes a huge difference. Move every day. I have no excuse for that because I've got a dog who needs to get walked every single day. So if he doesn't get walked, he gets very angsty and he starts nosing me and like butting me. It's like, come on, we've got to go. So I do kind of use that as an excuse every time to stay in movement. But I like your idea of, just sitting on a bouncing ball and just moving like that. I mean, I think it's so important to, oh gosh, any movement we do really is important. I think for anybody who doesn't like to go jogging or walking or things like that, I mean, walking is super important. But I love yoga as an
Mm.
example. And twice a week, I do yoga and I feel so good
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
And your idea about brushing your teeth and standing on one foot, I am so sorry, but I'm going to steal that idea. I'm going to start
Good for
doing it
you.
now.
Good for you. I
So
don't
I
do it
love
every
the
day 'cause of
concept.
course I forget, but when I remember,
Yeah.
I definitely, yeah.
No, I love the concept. I absolutely love it. I think it is so, so important. So tell me a little bit, how can we take these 5 habits then and translate it into our businesses?
Let's start with balancing our blood sugar.
Yeah.
Let's just say that our day is comprised of opportunities to make a decision, to do an activity that results in a real result. Or we have the opportunity to snack on junk food, which might raise our stress level, which means we're unfocused, which means we're not going to get as much work done, right? So an action that we've thought through, we know is the action we have to take for that day, not a perceptible rise in stress level, or I'm going to say blood sugar stress level. But if we look up and it's been 20 minutes and we went down an Instagram rabbit hole and we realize that we're meant to be writing an email to our list, it honestly raises our blood sugar because stress raises our blood sugar, right?
Mm.
So we have to make decisions. Is this junk food? Am I having a cheese doodle moment? Or is this, a nice salmon and salad moment for my business? Movement, I would say sometimes we're our own worst enemy about overthinking and researching till we're, out research. We just don't get going. That's the movement piece. We have to take action in our business every single day,
Yeah.
whether that's in our business or with clients. It could be marketing. It could be doing the actual coaching. There's also the bookkeeping, the things we don't like. Maybe you have a team for that. That's great. You still have to manage them. Every single day we have to have movement in our business, or we don't really have a business for very long. I have proven that one myself. I had Lyme's disease at one point years ago, and I just could not focus. My brain was so foggy, and I just felt awful for about 6 weeks. It took a while to come back. I mean, from the business standpoint, to catch
Yeah.
up for an unplanned 6 weeks of really not doing much. So I promised myself after that I would, first of all, put some systems in place so that the business could run without me, but never mind. So sleep, how can we relate that to business? Sometimes we have to step away from our business and rest. If we have a launch, even if we've just had our normal everyday, we're sitting here, we have to step away. And I like to play music. I like to I live in a place where I can walk in nature, even if it's cold out, and I just go out for 5 or 10 minutes and look at the pine trees and listen to the rustling of the leaves. So to me, that's also a way of not sleeping, but resting so that I'm refreshed for the rest of the day for the business or a week. People need to take vacations.
Yes.
I know lots of people who don't take any time off. Bad girls, bad. Must take some time off. What would be the fat related to business? I would say that the fat related to business is the delicious, yummy things, the things that give us the best feeling, the joy of our business. Maybe that's the coaching side of our business, being with the people, producing a product that people buy and they write and say, this was the best thing ever. Thank you so much. So that's like falling in love with fat. Fall in love with your business, what you really love to do, and make sure that people know about it, that they can find you, and so that you'll have more of that feeling when you're giving what you have to give. So that's my sort of translating 5 the power of 5 into business.
Oh no, I love how you translate it and how you kind of use that into the business aspect, because I think, yeah, it works hand in hand with our health being the one entity, but also using the 5 principles in your business. I think it's equally important. And let's face it, we want simplicity in life, okay? We don't want to overcomplicated systems. We don't want to have all of these things that we feel we can't digest. So I think the power of 5, the way you've put it together, looking at our health, but also looking at how to incorporate that into our business, makes it so much easier for us to digest, talking of food here. So it is just so much nicer to kind of hear your concept. And I hope everybody who's listening to this and is taking a lot of notes, life doesn't have to be difficult. Business doesn't have to be difficult. There are so many easier options out there. It's just because when we want to succeed, or if we want something so badly, oh my gosh, we overcomplicate everything for ourselves. And it doesn't need to be like that. But the other thing I want to ask you, Gregory Anne, is that, you said that being an entrepreneur is one of the best gifts anybody could ask for. From your perspective, why would you say that?
Something you mentioned earlier, again, before we were on the call, about the personal development side of owning and running a business is one aspect. I am sure that I would not have grown to be the adaptable, willow more than oak kind of person I am, had it not been for being in business on my own. And the other thing is, for a person who wants to stay healthy, being an entrepreneur allows you those moments, those hours. You said yoga twice a week. If you were in an office, would you be able to meet that same schedule for those classes you like? Maybe, maybe not, right? We can make our own meals. We don't have to rely on the restaurant on the corner or the vending machine. Oh yeah, you can bring your meals from home to work. Does anybody go to an office these days, Henriette? I don't know. But I think it's the flexibility, it's the mindset work, and it's the realization that you are your own person, right? You're your own boss, and that has a good side and a bad side. Some days it's like, what? Why do I have to be the boss and think of all this stuff? But it is freedom once you get it mastered. There is a freedom to the day-to-day that I just love.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, because I have definitely seen a difference in my health from working in corporate to being a business owner myself. It's all of a sudden like you're like, oh gosh, I've got to take control now. I can't just rely on other things. I've got to take control myself, not just of the business, but of my health as well. But I think what gives you that kind of little kick up the butt, if you'd like, is the idea that, oh, I am my own boss. I can decide when I want to do that. I can decide what I'd like to do instead of being dictated to what it is you have to do. Yeah. And, I find a lot of people, in particular for those who are stepping from corporate into running their own businesses for the first time, that is kind of like a thing they've got to juggle, because they had kind of, how can I say, they had a system that they were following, a habit when they were in corporate, like this is what you do then, this is what you do at that moment in time. And then as soon as they step into running their own business, they've got nothing. They're starting on a clean slate. So what I would say to people is use your calendar. Oh my God, start popping things in your calendar, start booking things in. Think about what it is that you'd like to do. Like I said, for me, twice a week, yoga is a priority. And then lunchtime, I've got to take my dog for a walk. Evenings, I've got to take my dog for a walk. That's my time. And that's where I feel I am, contributing to my own health. Mm-hmm. Eating, just as important. Make sure you take your lunch off. Take an hour off, schedule that in your calendar. You are your own boss. You can decide what it is you want, and make sure you eat healthy stuff. You're not just snacking. So important. And then everything else in life could fall in between on your calendar, but give yourself a system to work for. Speaking about systems earlier, you've got to give yourself a system, and you've got to take control of that. That makes life and business a lot more fun, because you've got control. You can decide what stays and what goes, and what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Exactly. I like that, what stays and what goes. I work with a woman. She's a spiritual advisor, coach, and she's a Vedic astrologer. So she was recently talking about something going on in planetary energy. And she said, it's a really important time for you to ask the question, what's mine? What's not mine? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what you said, keep what you want and don't but the calendar is critical. I know it sounds, there's a rumor, I'm not sure it's true. Jerry Seinfeld used to schedule sex with his wife because that was the only way it was going to happen. I thought, well, there's spontaneity gone in the window, but not to that degree. But aside, I always put my stuff in first. I know that sounds counterproductive to the bottom line. It's not.
No, it's not. I agree.
And I have a podcast, and I used to just have the podcast's calendar open all week, and I was stressing out because they would pop up, and somebody said, why don't you just only do it a couple of days a week for a couple hours each day? And I thought, well, there's a good idea. And now my life feels so much better because it's a system. I have a system. These are the 3 days I do podcast interviews, right? So, and again, these are the things we learn because we have the company of people with more experience than ourselves, or we get a coach, or, so, but it is super important. Put yourself in there first.
Yeah. And this rounds off everything to what you said earlier. You as an entrepreneur, you actually realize that you are in the best position of your life because you've got that control of your business, of your well-being. And, there's so much that you can do there, so much opportunities, but also so much that you can say yes to, but equally no to. Don't be scared to say no to certain things, okay? For those of you listening, it's super important to start learning to say no as well, especially if you're a people pleaser. But that's another topic for another day.
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh, Gregory Anne, I absolutely loved having you here. I mean, I'm just going to look at my wheel again. I think I'm going to, sign up to your freebie, which is something you've got amazingly available for the audience. Tell us a little bit about that and where we can get a hold of that freebie that you've got for us.
Okay, so it would be at my website, rebelliouswellness.com/power5, all lowercase power, the number 5. And it's a 5-day email program. That's the best way I can say it. Now, I do marketing and copywriting. I've been told nobody's going to read 5 emails, but I actually get people right back. And 5 days is so easy. It's not like 30. I have in the past done a 90-day email program that was insane, right? Totally insane. However, this is 5 days. And every day I give tips within the 5 categories, how they work together. There are a couple of recommendations for books, not many, because who has time to read an entire book, right? If you're interested, you'll find something. But it's reiterating what we talked about, but really going deeper into the whole idea of sleep. What does blood sugar management really look like on paper? And these are not super long emails. They may sound that way. It's just that it's longer than you and I could have a conversation about today. So it will fill in the blanks and answer questions. And anybody can always hit reply to an email and ask me a question. I'm always around.
Amazing. And thank you so much for making that available. I think, like you said earlier on, for us, just start Googling and doing research and everything that you've discussed today. If we were just to take time and do the research, oh my gosh, that would just cause a brain ache, overwhelm. So exactly. So for those of you who want these the 5-day email program, I would highly suggest you sign up. And then I'm going to make sure the link is in the bottom of my show notes. I'm going to sign up as well because I think it's super, super important. And you don't have to go and do the research, okay? Gregory Anne has got everything available here for you over the 5 days, and you don't have to absorb it all. Just take one thing, one day at a time, learn a little bit about that, apply it to your life on that day, and just see, oh my gosh, if you take that 5 steps she's given you the first week, and you take that again the second week, and you apply it again and again and again, you're definitely going to start seeing a difference. So just go and have fun with it a little bit. Remember, your health must come first. Nobody else is going to look after you. You're the only one who can look after yourself. But then equally, what I'm also going to do is if you would like to get in touch with Gregory Anne, by all means, you can also catch up with her on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll make sure that all those links are also in the show notes. But so to speak, Gregory Anne, this was really insightful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time being here.
Yeah, I was happy to be here. Thank you so much for sharing me with your people.
Of course, anytime. Well, we'll be in touch very soon again. And I look forward to getting your 5 emails because I am fascinated.
All righty. Well, they'll be there for you.
Take care.
Thanks, you too.